What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're here with F1 2019 Career Mode, episode number 13. Thankfully, lucky number 13 for us, because we have 4 brand new upgrades going on the car. I say 4, it's probably not as dramatic as what you think, but we have 2 engine upgrades, 1 for ERS, 1 for just outright power, a drag reduction upgrade, and also the turbo's reliability got improved as well. So really only 2 of those will improve out and out performance, but still it doesn't hurt to have the other 2 upgrades go on the car anyway to make it an all-round better package. So Hungarian Grand Prix, new upgrades, let's test them out in qualifying.
We hope you're looking forward to today's qualifying in Hungary as much as we are. We think it's going to be a cracker.
And I do too, Crofty. Welcome, guys, to qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix. On paper, this should be a circuit that really suits Renault down to a T. Still not the greatest power unit in the world. We've got awesome, downforce on this car. The chassis isn't too bad either. I think the 4th best in the field. So this should be a circuit that should play to our strengths. However, in practice, the natural pace just hasn't quite been there. I've actually been struggling for front-end grip, particularly in the 3rd sector through the low-speed corners. I actually have been struggling to turn the car despite increasing the front downforce. We're running with the default setup still. I was running 7.7 wings, and then, I just wasn't feeling anything in the front end through the 3rd sector, so I increased the front downforce to 8.7 wings, and hopefully that'll give us the extra little bit of oomph through the corners to keep up with my teammate at least, because he was, I gotta be honest, he was absolutely bossing me the early part of the weekend. But as always, or just kind of the same case as what was in Germany, I was running with an older power unit, so that might have contributed to things, but I just feel like the car just wasn't quite there, the handling wise, so that was somewhat alarming for me. But anyway, we're going to march on with this session anyway. We're currently P18, so not a great qualifying effort so far. This attempt, though, is much better. 8 tenths up as we cross the line. It puts us in P7, and that is very relieving to see that we are not going to be last place this weekend, and we're not going to be completely hopeless, but we still are the best part of 5 tenths away from our teammate in the first part of qualifying. I'm hoping I can just continue to unlock a bit more pace in this circuit. I'm hoping that there's something out there for me that's just missing, and hopefully it's going to click in the next session or 2. But it's looking likely that just Daniel has the ascendancy around this circuit. But anyway, we're heading out for qualifying 2. I only have 1 brand new set of soft compound tires, so I was waiting till literally the death of the session to go out, and we're going to set a time. Again with Germany, when I was setting the car out for the AI to complete the fast lap, or to complete the out lap, I noticed that I was getting quite a bit of tire wear. I was getting about 2-ish% more tire wear on the out lap when the AI was doing the out lap as opposed to when I did it. So I just thought I'd again look after the tires, and maybe that'll give me a little bit more performance over the course of my actual hot lap, because the tires are somewhat more fresh. Hopefully that can help somewhat, and it also make a big difference because we're actually going to be starting the race on this compounded tire if we make it through to the next part of qualifying. But anyway, this has been a really good lap so far. No real mistakes. It's been a pretty solid lap. So if this is a long way off the pace of Daniel Ricciardo, then I feel like there's probably no hope for me this weekend. But anyway, through to the 3rd sector, the part of the circuit where we do struggle for downforce. Even now you can see, I don't know, it's just a little bit understeery. That is kind of characteristic of F1 2019's handling model now. But I just feel like the understeer is a little bit excessive even now through the final corner. Again, pushing wide, but we come across the line and we go P8. So we do make it through to the top 10 shootout, which is nice to see. But here, the gap to Ricciardo is even larger, 8 tenths. He's only, a tenth away from being on pole position. I don't know where he's getting that pace from, but I just can't seem to extract it from myself or the car. And Q3 was even worse. P10, so from my side of the garage, a pretty disappointing session. It just doesn't look like it's a weekend where it's going to click for me. So heading into the race, I've got a decision to make. We're actually quite marginal on power units and stuff. I chucked in a somewhat new ICE for this qualifying session, even though I probably shouldn't have, because this is our last ICE we have left. The other ICE we have has about 62% worth of wear. So, given that this is the opposite of a power track, this is like Monaco pretty much, we may as well stick the old engine in. I don't think we're going to be able to contest with our teammate, even with our fresher engine components. So I think we might take a bit of a damage limitation weekend, get this old power unit out of the way this weekend while we can, and see if we can recover to be best of the rest this weekend, and then going forward into Spa and Monza, keep fresher power unit components for those race weekends. I think that's what I'm going to do, just to manage this season a little bit better. Alright, let's do that. Let's head to the Hungarian Grand Prix and see what we can manage with our slightly compromised components.
It's always wonderful to come back to the lively Hungaroring. A popular destination this, nice and close to the beautiful city of Budapest, with some exciting racing to boot. Who can forget Michael Schumacher pushing his old teammate Rubens Barrichello up towards the pit wall in 2010, or those great races of 2014 and 2015 as well. Joining me for the Grand Prix once again is Anthony Davidson. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
You're lower on the grid than we wanted. See to it that we improve throughout the race.
Ooh, that's a bit of a cold message before the start of this race. Thank you, Jeff. That really makes me feel good about the race, but maybe it's a bit of tough love. It'll perhaps motivate me somewhat to get up the grid. But here we are for this Hungarian Grand Prix. We're taking all the fuel out of it. There is so much room to save fuel around this racetrack, but we are underway with the race already. That kind of ambushed me out of nowhere. Speaking of getting ambushed, here comes a Red Bull heading into turn 1. I think it's Verstappen. He had a grid penalty for the start of this race, which promoted us up into P9 for the start of this one. He gets us back anyway, so it's pretty much as I was in qualifying. Turn 2. Let's hopefully follow Verstappen through. He's going to have amazing pace. Lucas Weber, Lando Norris. I'm hoping I can get past those guys in this race and yeah, again, get best of the rest if I possibly can. Verstappen getting boxed in by Norris. I think Lucas Weber had a bit of a moment at the top of the hill there, and he's left a bit of a gap to Bottas up ahead. Meanwhile, Ricciardo is absolutely flying. He's in front of a Mercedes and a Ferrari. I got tangled up with Verstappen in a lazy little lunge there into the middle sector chicane. Verstappen goes to the move up the inside of Lando Norris and gets the job done. Lucas Weber will be next on his list. I think he's actually going defensive, and I think... No, has he got him? No, I don't think he has. Meanwhile, we've got Sergio Perez on the attack once again. So it's been a while since we've seen Perez, and now he's finally making a comeback in my career mode episodes. So it's nice to see you, fella. Ever since I complained about Perez being constantly in my pocket all the time, I think from that moment on, I never saw him again. So, I somewhat put the commentator's curse on him. I don't know.
Okay, we're monitoring somewhere on the ICE. Be aware that we will start to see a loss of power. We're boxing this lap. Give us the best in lap you can.
Alright, cool. We're stopping at the end of this lap. This is a very short first stint, much like Germany. So the tyre wear, again, is very, very harsh. But I feel like on the balance of things, tyre wear might be slightly more easy to deal with. I think in Germany, it was all rear tyres that were going off, but here the front tyres go off as well, so I feel like it's somewhat easier to deal with. But anyway, the engine is also going off somewhat. 63% wear on the ICE. Gearbox is getting pretty close to being worn out as well. Team radio.
Gap to teammate ahead is 27.2 seconds. They're on old softs. They're in third. The time last lap was a 1 minute 22.1.
Bloody hell, Ricciardo is absolutely flying at this stage. In third place. So he's on target to get his first podium of the season with Renault. But yeah, the gearbox is kind of on its last legs this race. This is actually the last race we have to use this gearbox. After this, we can get rid of it. So we're getting a little bit dicey with it, but I think it should be okay. Ricciardo now pits, and it's very, very close between himself, Charles Leclerc, and Valtteri Bottas. So interesting developments here in this Hungarian Grand Prix. We've got a Toro Rosso going very slowly as Lucas overtook him. We get past him as well and move up into 19th place, but don't worry, we're well inside the top 10 based on effective track position. A few people, I think, today are doing one stops. There's a yellow flag up ahead. Not too sure who it's for. I can't really see anyone going slowly, so I don't know what the dealio is. It's actually a Mercedes growing really slowly on the left-hand side of the circuit. It's Lewis Hamilton. He is out of this Grand Prix, and a very untimely failure to happen for him because he's in the chase with Charles Leclerc for the championship. Only 10 points behind, so if Lewis DNFs today, or he already has DNF today, but if Charles Leclerc can win today, that'd be massive advantage for Ferrari in the championship standings. We've got Sebastian Vettel, speaking of Ferrari, going really slowly here in the early stages of this middle stint. I don't really understand what's going on. I asked the engineer if he was having any problems. He didn't say anything, so that's why I've kind of muted him as I'm now going for a big boy lunge up the inside into turn 1. I probably overestimated the lateness of what I needed to do to get the move done. Because, yeah, Vettel definitely has some kind of problem. He's going into corners quite slowly, and we take full advantage into P16. I don't really know what the issue is. The engineer's not saying anything. I didn't see any front wing damage. There's no puncture, obviously. So it's just a really weird scenario going on. Speaking of weird, Weber and bloody Giovinazzi having issues through the middle sector. I'm just following Lucas Weber here through as he overtakes all the midfield runners, and he's just kind of throwing cars towards me, essentially, through that high-speed left-hander. Nice helicopter shot as we get the move done around the outside of Giovinazzi, and that is another place for us. So, again, this is going to be a similar race to Germany in that some people are doing one-stops, trying to hold it out really, really long on their medium tyres that they started the race on. But, of course, their tyres are going off so quickly that it's making it quite easy for us to overtake them, even on a circuit like Hungary, where traditionally it's actually quite hard to overtake. But given our car, our strengths of our car, we've got so much downforce, we're essentially able to dance around so many cars in this Grand Prix. But here is Daniel Ricciardo in the fight at the front of the field. We've got a Williams getting overtaken by my teammate. Williams are actually making some really solid inroads on the upgrade front. They might be one to watch towards the end of the season. They've got a lot of momentum behind them. Ever since Monaco, they've been upgrading every single race. One of the only teams to keep pace with me so far this season. But anyway, I tried to have a look at Weber at the inside into turn 4, I think it was. Nothing really doing there. He was boxed in by the Williams. So we just have to wait it out, essentially. He goes for a move now on the start-finish straight. This is probably the easiest overtaking spot of the circuit. We follow him through, punches the hole, essentially, and we take the advantage into P14. So, before this race is out, there's still going to be a lot of overtaking to come with all these midfield one-stop runners trying to eke out their medium tyres. Weber gets a really bad run there, stuck behind Kubica, and we might be able to take advantage of this around the outside into turn 4. We tried this a few times on the left-hand side of the circuit, but we try something different, and this time it works. We're through for effective, I think maybe P6 or P7 in this Hungarian Grand Prix. A very crucial move on our rival around the outside, and he won't be too happy about that, will he? It'll be interesting to watch, though, if we can keep in front of him now. The Haas has better straight line speed than us. I'm running with extra downforce around this circuit, so I might be a little bit of a boat in a straight line here. We'll have to wait and see. Here he goes, DRS for both of us, actually. And here he goes to the inside. We're going to leave the space. We're going to try and be last of the late breakers. The gap closes, and we actually make slight contact there in the run into turn 1. So, very lucky to get away with that. Here's the race director. Devin Butler is winning this Grand Prix. Sergio Perez P2, still yet to make a stop. Lance Stroll is also doing a one-stop as well. Lando Norris also in the one-stop squad. So essentially, nearly half the field are doing different strategies to what we are. It's just so cool to see all the different teams going about it in a different way. It's resulting in some really close and exciting racing out on track. I keep saying it, but Germany was exactly like this. So many parallels to be drawn between the last race and this one, with high tyre wear, early first stints, early first pit stops, and yeah, it's just creating some really cool racing. But meanwhile, on circuit, we can see Valtteri Bottas going for the move on Daniel Ricciardo. That's going to move him down to P4, unfortunately. So Ricciardo not having a good time of things. He got jumped by Charles Leclerc at some point in the pit stops, and now he's lost a place to Valtteri Bottas. So it'll be hard for Daniel actually to get a position back on Valtteri because of the Mercedes straight line speed prowess. But in second driver land in Renault, it's pit stop time. So we're going on to the medium tyres to finish out this race. You guys called me out on the last video for mistakenly going on the hard, so we're not going to make that mistake today. I was, honestly, I was so caught out in the action last race that I didn't even think to realize that I could make it to the end on mediums. I was just kind of fearing the tyre wear for the back end of the race, that I didn't even cross my mind to go onto the mediums, but today we're not making that mistake. Daniel responds on the next lap. Unfortunately, I think he got undercut by Valtteri Bottas again, so no real avenue for Daniel to get a position on him there. So he'll have to overtake him on circuit with fresher tyres towards the end of this race. But meanwhile, we're overtaking Grosjean. Again, we're coming up to the one-stop runners again. This is the point of the Grand Prix where they've got track position, they're on their hard compound tyres, and now it's down to us to claw back these positions now. Next up is Raikkonen for the second time in this Grand Prix. Tried to do a little shortcut there into turn 5. Didn't quite work out, but we'll find a way past him. Raikkonen going defensive into the third sector. He locks up the outside front and thankfully leaves us space. Gives us the inside for the penultimate corner. He's still hanging it in here quite nicely, to be honest. But me, with my understeer, I didn't intend to do that. I was actually trying to leave space on the outside, but the car was just pushing out wide. And thankfully, Raikkonen left me the space, and we move up into P9. Next up, Lance Stroll. He's going to be quite the boat through the corners with that Force India, so we're going to have to actually save fuel here and just kind of wait for the straight, maybe, or this corner again, which we seem to be quite fast at. Stroll, a late move to the inside. I wanted to actually surprise him with a last-minute lunge up the inside, but he covered that off quite nicely. We got forced off the circuit there, and yeah, this is turning into quite the feisty battle. Lance Stroll really fighting hard for these 2 points. 2 points? No, he's got 4 points against his name at the moment, but I don't think this is a battle worth contesting too much. Our car is just way, way faster than his, especially with the tyre advantage we've got at the moment. And there we go, up in P8. Next up is Norris. He's a good 5-6 seconds up the road, so it'll take me quite a bit of time to make up the difference, but I think we will get to him eventually. The pace advantage is there. Meanwhile, this is Valtteri Bottas overtaking Sergio Perez. So the Force India is going for the one-stop. McLaren also opting for the one-stop. It's making it very interesting. It's slowing up the front runners, which might give me a better chance of catching them, but at the same token, they are a long way up the road. But it does give me, that little dangling carrot in front of me to chase after. And the dying stages of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Lando Norris started right in front of me in this Grand Prix, and towards the race end, we find ourselves on track once again. So it really is close, the one stop. I think it is essentially just the better pace for us, which has got us onto the back of Lando so early. Sergio Perez is a long way up the road, so I think his one stop may get him in front of me in this Grand Prix. But I don't know, it's still 6 laps left. We'll have to wait and see. We're trying to put the pressure on Lando Norris here. He's not got a great run through turn 3, and now we're going to slide up the inside into turn 4. Easy as you like. I say easy, but that was quite stressful trying to get that move done without having a crash or corner cutting or whatever, and we're through for P7. 5 laps left to go in this Hungarian Grand Prix, and the gap to Sergio Perez is the best part of 8 seconds. So we're going to need to close him in quite massively to make up the difference and I just don't think the pace is quite there. We're catching him by a second a lap, but I think we're just going to run out of laps, unfortunately. Team radio.
You've lost access to one of the gears. We've lost one of the gears due to a fault. This is your final lap of the race.
And now that we crossed the final lap, we're getting issues with our gearbox. We've lost 5th gear. So, yeah, for the last lap here, we're just going to cruise it home to the finish. We're not going to catch Sergio Perez. We don't want to risk completely blowing up the gearbox like a certain other YouTuber did at a recent career mode episode. We're not even going to shift out of 6th gear, I think. We're just going to cruise it home to the end, looking after the engine and the gearbox. I don't know why I'm choosing to look after the engine and the gearbox, because I'm chucking it out at the end of this Grand Prix. But Devin Butler gets his first win in Formula 1. Max Verstappen recovers to get P2 to make it a 1-2 for Red Bull here at the, not the Red Bull ring, it's the Hungarian ring. And wow, what a race, what a historic race for Red Bull. They are back on top. The top teams are somewhat nowhere with Hamilton's retirement. Vettel, his pace issues have seen him fall out of the points today. And for us, it is P7, comprehensively beaten by my teammate.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top drawer to take the win for Red Bull today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here.
Crofty's right. They really have put in the work behind the scenes. Red Bull have been making some solid inroads in the development race against Mercedes and Ferrari, and today they certainly are taking the spoils with Devin Butler taking the win. Our F2 rival is again showing his promise in the top flight motorsport category in the world. I really do like Devin Butler as a character, as an antagonist in this career mode. I feel like him being at Red Bull alongside Max Verstappen is like the perfect pairing. Just two young guns who don't give a crap about anyone else, and even their teammates, essentially. I think they might be two personalities which might clash, especially if they're going to start contesting for wins now. But anyway, it's been a solid race for us. You know, even though we got comprehensively beaten by Daniel today, that was going to happen anyway. We chucked in the old engine and we recovered to be best of the rest, apart from Sergio Perez, who put in a stellar drive to get P6, I think it was. So, awesome drive from him to conserve his tyres and make that strategy work. But for us, I am really happy to get 6 points with a dead engine and a dead gearbox. Sets us up nicely for the second half of the season, where we might only need to take one extra power unit to make it to the end of the season now. I'm hoping with that sacrifice, it'll make things a lot easier for us. So heading into the likes of Spa or Monza, we'll take a brand new power unit and we'll minimize the damage taken there, because it's so easy to overtake at those circuits. We're going to target some upgrades to hopefully make the straight line speed a little better for those races as well. But in the meantime, we have a contract renewal. We're actually going to push for first driver, but I'm kind of worried that I'm going to lose Daniel Ricciardo as a teammate. It hasn't affected that in the past, but I'm hoping I can keep Daniel on board. He's a mega fast driver. I want to have my fellow Australian in the team with me as well, but we're going to push for better terms. I feel like we can achieve 7th in quali and the race quite easily now, as long as I'm firing on all cylinders. We're going to push for better upgrade speed, and yeah, let's hope the team accepts.
Okay, that proposal looks good. It seems all parties are happy with the deal, so it'll commence the next race weekend.
Awesome. Alright, so with that out of the way, we now move on to the Belgian Grand Prix. The second half of the season can now begin. The summer break, if you will come into effect, but we're going to immediately skip over that with the beauty of time and YouTube. But upgrade-wise, we have a decision to make. We only have 1,011 resource points, and unfortunately, we can't do 2 upgrades. So, in an ideal world, I'd be able to do a performance upgrade, and I'd also be able to do a reliability upgrade. But given that we're heading into Spa and Monza, it only makes sense to go for a drag reduction upgrade. So that's the upgrade that I'm going to target. And upgrade and reliability, unfortunately, will have to wait one more round. So we'll go for the drag reduction, and then going forward, that might be the last performance upgrade we do this season. I'm not too sure. I may still do some downforce or either chassis stuff, but we'll play it by ear. We'll see how the performance of this car unfolds over the next couple of races and whether we need to focus on that. We're still yet to hear about whether there's going to be a regulation change at the end of the season. So if there is a regulation change, I feel like that would comprehensively put an end to our development this season in order to consolidate the upgrades we've already made. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the love and support you guys have been giving me over the last 13 episodes and across all the F1 2019 videos you guys have been watching. I really do appreciate it. So if you could leave a like again and subscribe, that'll really help me out. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next race, the Belgian Grand Prix, I'll see you next time.